Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I have a super cool guest for you today. I mean, this is a super cool interview all about how to empower your kids to be healthy and how to be healthy yourself so you can live a longer, healthier life. Before I jump in with my amazing guest, I want to say that this is a show here at the Heal Your Hunger Show where you will learn about what it takes to end emotional eating, but not by diet, okay? Or not by dieting, okay? Diet's a word that, has a broad meaning. So diet by what you eat, yes, but we talk more about how to live healthy. So if that's of interest to you, you're so in the right place because there's no finger wagging here. There's no finger wagging telling you to shape up, okay? It's really how do we deal with the underlying causes of emotional eating? How do we deal with a household of people that might have different interests in food choices? How do we deal with stress? How do we deal with emotions? Oh my gosh, so many different things that are connected to what we eat, but aren't about eat this, not that. Okay. So if that's what you're looking for, guess what? You're in the right place. There's so many, aspects of weight loss out there that's already covered, namely what to eat and calories in, burning calories, ketones, all that stuff. This is not that. So, I'm an emotional eating expert. I was 50 pounds overweight. I hated my body. There was a lot going on between my ears. Okay. So even when I wasn't overweight, I thought I was overweight. I call that fathead, by the way. So there's a lot of emotional mishigash that goes along with this. And, we got to talk about that. That's not being covered. Like that's a conversation that's not being had. So that's what we do here at the Heal Your Hunger Show. I hope you stick around and come back for more episodes because we cover a lot of ground in so many different ways. We also record this often in the Secret Sauce group, which is my Facebook group for people who want to get healthy from the inside out. So you go to Facebook and type in the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, and boom, we'd love to have you. Also, if you're not sure if you're an emotional eater, if that's kind of a new term for you, or if you're like, hell no, I'm not an emotional eater. So guess what? You can take a quiz and get a personalized score to determine if you are an emotional eater or not, or maybe even a food addict. Okay. I was both. Food addicts are emotional eaters. Not all emotional eaters are food addicts. Take the quiz. It's on the front page of my website, healyourhunger.com, and find out. Just find out. All right. You can get your answers right there and then. It takes 3 minutes. So my beautiful, amazing guest today is Madiha Saeed, and she is also known as the Holistic Mom MD on social media. She's a practicing board-certified family physician in the US, and she's an international speaker and best-selling author. And she's written so many books and so many children's books. She's kind of a freak of nature, frankly. She's got so much energy, so much love coming from, her pores. She's just a beautiful, enlightened being. And she also has 5 amazing kids who are beautiful, enlightened beings, and they are spreading the message of health and hope in the world. Madiha also sits on multiple medical advisory boards, including Wellness Mama, and she was the president of the International Institute of Islamic Medicine. Both she and her children speak internationally at holistic conferences, on TV shows, on summits, podcasts. Their kids have their own podcast called the Holistic Kids Show. I could go on and on, but instead I will introduce you to this amazing woman. Okay, Madiha, so happy to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to be here, especially after you've just given birth. Oh my goodness, congratulations on your beautiful baby boy, not the first. Well, just tell us a little bit about your family life. Yes, 5 kids, unbelievable. We just talk about that first because I think that's super interesting.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so, so, so incredibly honored. So I am a board certified family physician. My husband's a family physician, but I myself was getting sick. I had lupus, Hashimoto, severe digestive issues, all these chronic health conditions. And it wasn't until I really had children, I continued on that hamster wheel like everybody else. And I one day walked into the daycare provider, almost suffocating my child to death. And at that time, I'm like, oh God, universe, you saved my child. I promise I'm going to take care of this child the best that I know how. But then I had to take a step back and say, wait, how am I supposed to take care of this kid that I know best that I know how? But if I don't even know how to take care of myself as a family physician, like we're responsible for prevention, but here I don't even know how to take care of myself or how to prevent my own chronic illnesses. So I went on this quest, and that's where this led me to integrative, holistic, functional medicine, where I could, optimize my health, by things that I can do on a daily basis. And I incorporated that with my family, hence the name Holistic Mom MD. So yes, I did give birth recently to my 5th boy.
Wow.
I feed a family of 9 on a daily basis. My in-laws live with me. So it's me, my husband, my 5 children, and my in-laws. And we all live on a 3 generational household.
Wow.
With different backgrounds, because they were born and raised in Pakistan while I was born and raised here in the United States. So there's a lot of different dynamics at play. But what's amazing is that my in-laws started their holistic Urdu MD channel.
Oh,
And where they have hundreds of thousands of followers and millions of views.
no kidding. Your
People,
husband's parents?
my husband's parents, we started a holistic Urdu MD channel where
Wow.
I've gotten them on board with all of this and got them in busy in social media. And then my kids also have their podcasts. My oldest is 15, and then I have a 12, 9, and 7-year-old, and they started their own podcast. So we called Holistic Kids Show podcast. So yes, as you can see, there are multiple generations, different audiences, but trying to, have the common goal of optimizing, the universe's health and wellness so we can optimize.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked. This is so interesting. How incredible. And 5 boys, that in and of itself is a story. So, so congratulations on, just really, your passion for health. I just love that. And I love that it's intergenerational and you're like everybody's involved. So what a cool household. Like I want to come to your house. That's cool.
A party here. Exactly. No, I'm telling you, and when everybody eats the same way and everybody lives the same way, it lowers the stress for all of us. And
Oh my
believe me, in
gosh.
this world today, we need as little stress as possible.
Okay, so on that point,
Mhm.
because I know there's women who are listening who are like, how do I get my family interested in health? How do I get my kids wanting to eat the way I need to eat for health? So do you have any tips along those lines?
Well, we have to know that we're not alone, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes it may feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in this whirlwind by myself. But if you look at the statistics, 6 in every 10 adults have a chronic health condition, and 4 in 10 have at least 2 or more chronic health conditions, and 60% of Americans are overweight or obese. So, and unfortunately, the trajectory is just continuing to get worse. So what I like to do is really help patients understand that, guess what? I mean, if you look at these statistics, if you feel, you're also stuck, you feel hopeless. And it's sometimes it's easier to stick your head on the ground, walking around, like just again, continuing on that hamster wheel. But unfortunately, because we're getting sicker and sicker on a daily basis, and conventional medicine is great when it comes to healing and preventing chronic disease, but we need to look a little deeper. We need to look past these drug treatments, as they alone will not really keep us healthy and happy. And in order to, get because there's so much hope. And we need just to understand what is causing this problem. So these imbalances in our lives around us are leading to the problems. So we have to ask, why are we suffering? Why is our planet suffering? Why are we out of imbalance? And it's because of the fact that we are living imbalanced lives. And if we can start to educate ourselves about what is actually going on and what's leading to these symptoms that we're experiencing, there lies the hope. So the first step of the journey, again, is to understand what is actually fueling your symptoms. And that's why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So when you go to your doctor, let's say you have a headache, they give you an anti-inflammatory. If you go to, if you have eczema, they give you an anti-inflammatory. If you have chronic pain, an anti-inflammatory, right? If you have allergies, an anti-inflammatory. If you have an autoimmune condition like lupus, like I had, an anti-inflammatory. Cancer and anti-inflammatory. Get the picture?
Yes, absolutely.
So no matter
why do they give anti-inflammatory? Like, why is that the go-to?
Well, because the fact that doctors know that is one of the key drivers to your chronic diseases. So it's easier to give a pill and band-aid those symptoms instead of really diving into exactly what is actually driving the root cause of what's driving that inflammation.
Yeah.
And what's craziness is, me as a family physician, my husband as a family physician, my husband has to see 110 patients a week for our paycheck not to go half.
Wow.
So we were never taught a single class of nutrition. We were taught very limited stress management and or any other lifestyle techniques to really aid my patient care. So all we know in 15 minutes, when my husband actually, and I was looking at his schedule just yesterday, he had like 4 people scheduled for the same 11 o'clock slot.
Oh my gosh.
Now just think about that, is how these physicians are being pushed through the system, because the fact that they're only the only way that they can only way we make money is for how many patients we see, not how many patients we heal.
Yeah.
So
Is he like an HMO system or what?
So PPO, HMO,
Yeah.
but he's insurance based.
Okay.
And he, again, for how many patients we see. So if he doesn't see 110 patients a week, our paycheck will go down to half. And so therefore, when I was just looking at his schedule, he had like 4 scheduled for 9 o'clock, 4 patients scheduled for 11 o'clock. Now, how are you supposed to do that? And then in between, he had every 15-minute slots.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous the way that we're just trying to push people through the system, but we're not really getting to the underlying root cause.
Exactly.
And that is chronic inflammation. So no matter what condition you're dealing with, doctors know this, but we were never really taught to address why the person has chronic inflammation to begin with. So inflammation actually means is fire inside, and it's your body's natural defense response to your body's immune system as it tries to fight off bad guys and even heal wounds. Without inflammation, we would really be in danger, as we would have no way to really fight the microbial invaders or repair the damage from constantly inflicted upon us. And so the thing is, you need a right amount of inflammation. So not too much, not too little. So there's 2 main types of inflammation. There's a healthy inflammatory response. So where it's a good thing that lasts for a short time and it tells you your defenses are working properly. But then if that switch of our immune system stays in the on position, it can actually be too much of a good thing. And that constant modern life's daily exposures to triggers like chronic stress, toxins, impure foods, toxins, allergens, low-grade infections can all then drive disease, destroying our miracle of a body. And this takes a little bit longer to kick in. But the thing is, what happens is that it starts to control all these triggers. These inflammatory cytokines go out of control, destroys everything in its path, damaging tissues and organs, leading to chronic diseases of every stripe. So simple answer, difficult, unfortunately, difficult path that most patients have gone through to even just understand that chronic inflammation, yes, is one of the root causes. Actually, it's a root causes that leads to the chronic inflammation that then leads to your symptoms. And unfortunately, chronic inflammation is affecting our brains, it's affecting our mitochondria, it's affecting our hormones. So the list goes on and on. But if we can try to figure out what is driving that underlining, chronic inflammation, and it could be an imbalanced lifestyle. So your digestive health and detoxification, the stress for us is stress, sleep, social, and spiritual health. So I work on those foundations of good health, because if any of those are out of balance, it can then drive this inflammatory response.
Yeah. And I would say that for emotional eaters who are listening, we're always in that stress response, like we're always doing too much, taking care of too many people, leaving ourselves, off the list of self-care, and eating crappy foods, right? Sugar and processed carbs.
Absolutely. Because that's like the first thing that you want to go to, but not recognizing it's because of the stress response, the way that we're not managing it. It's our gut microbiome that's completely off, that's really leading to those cravings. So again, there's so much that we can do to help us put our body back into balance, to lower that chronic inflammation, and how get our immune system to work optimally, and also to balance our hormones so we can improve our overall health and wellness.
So where do you start? Obviously diet is a big, red flag. If our diet's off, obviously it's going to be hard to be healthy, and it's going to be hard to heal our bodies if we're eating, unhealthy foods. Can you talk about how sugar and processed foods create inflammation?
Absolutely. So yes, diet is a huge piece of the puzzle. But before I dive into diet, I would really like to talk about our mindset, because our brain dictates our everyday decisions. And there's two main pieces of our decision making. There's our prefrontal cortex and our amygdala. Our prefrontal cortex is responsible for, rational decision making. It looks at the entire, risks versus the benefits, and comes up with a logical decision. While then we have your amygdala is your fight and flight type of decision making, your rational type of decision making. You need both of these pieces to make a rational decision. Unfortunately, it's our imbalanced lifestyles are disconnecting our prefrontal cortex from our amygdala, so there we're not using the full brain to make a logical, rational decision. And it's us versus you mentality. It's more anger, more terrible relationships. But the first thing that we can do to optimize our everyday decision-making skills is the power of gratitude. Immediately when you wake up in the morning, say 10 things that you're thankful for, because I could start with the diets all I want, but the thing is, that's sometimes it's really there's, sugar has such a huge piece, in our, lives, where a lot of us that to disconnect from that. We've created memories around sugar. We've created, these connections around sugar and all these processed foods. So where I like to start with, besides for pointing the finger just at sugar, but is really to understand that our mindset. So waking up in a world with gratitude and positivity, science has proven that gratitude can actually optimize the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. So you're making rational decisions. It's like basically waking up on the right side of the bed every single solitary day. And now you're in a better position when you're waking up and you're like, yes, I'm worth this. We could do this. We're going to focus on all the positive that are going right there. You've decreased some of the stress. And now when it comes to your first meal, you have a better option
you have a fighting chance if your mindset
you have
is
a fighting chance.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so true, because so often we wake up and think about everything we did wrong yesterday, or the binge we had the night before.
Yes, or the stuff we can't eat that day.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know that sugar specifically, we all have it's infiltrated into our lives and our schools and our in our religious organizations, at every parties, at every celebration, every trip to the doctor, every sadness, every disappointment, at the times of stress. It's found in 74% of all packaged foods. It stimulates the brain reward centers, the same parts of the brains that are stimulated by addictive drugs like heroin and cocaine. So when you stop eating sugar, that's why you experience some of those withdrawal symptoms. And then when you, and then also the sugar helps to thrive those bad bacteria. That leads to more bad bacterial overgrowth of these pathogenic bacteria and, yeast species like fungi, which then causes more craving for sugar and creates this vicious cycle. And then we have the oxidative stress and the imbalances, the microbiome that leads to the inflammation that then interferes with also the white blood cells to destroy the toxins and fight infections, making you sick. So if it doesn't do its job well, and that can occur minutes within eating sugar, and it can even last several hours. Sugar then also disrupts your cholesterol. It reduces good cholesterol, it raises the bad cholesterol rate, increases triglycerides, blood pressure, heart disease. It leads to imbalances in your insulin spikes that can be dangerous and lead to fatigue and brain fog, anxiety and mood swings, and it speeds up aging. It increases our appetite and our sugar cravings. It also damages the liver, that can lead to, alcohol, just like alcohol, that can lead to this fatty liver. Craziness, right?
Yeah,
And then they did a
absolutely.
major study at Harvard School of Public Health, published in the Journal of American Medical Association, found that those that took 25% more of daily calories as sugar were twice as likely to die of a heart disease than those consume less than 10%. So
Wow.
unfortunately, it's directly related to all of these chronic diseases like heart disease and cancers and strokes and diabetes and all of these things. It basically makes you obese, old, and ill.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if it was just sugar, like if you just look at the package and say, oh, just sugar, but it comes in all of these different names like glucose and dextrose and fructose and agave and barley malt and brown rice syrup and high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated starch, maltodextrin, maltose, lactose, disaccharides. You do see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, this is like it's a great commercial for my Quit Sugar Challenge, because we go through all 80 plus of the names of sugar, so, that they hide in our foods, And then
we get stuck, we get addicted. We're like, leads to old, obese, ill. We become ill, and they actually get us young. We become addicted to these things as young as kids, and then it's attached to this memory, unfortunately, and that's why it's even more difficult to get off of it. And that's why the gratitude piece is going to be so important, positivity and gratitude, because then you can make those better decisions and to have those replacements and alternatives. In my house, it's not like we don't have sweet treats, but I'll use different types of ingredients.
Yeah.
Making sure they first fill up on tons of vegetables, clean protein, healthy fats, making sure that they're hydrated. And then if they needed something, either a piece of fruit, that's when you have fructose attached with the fiber, that's a little bit better. That too, lower glycemic is what I really focus on. And then also, I love in my house when we have birthday parties, I make cakes for the kids and my family members.
Sure.
So it's 3 cups of almond flour, half a cup of honey, half a cup of avocado oil, 6 eggs, and 1 teaspoon baking soda and 1 teaspoon salt. Again, this is a treat.
That's so nice.
That's
so easy.
And that will feed an entire party of 25 people.
Wow.
So you have half a cup of honey that's going to go feed 25 people.
Yes.
So, and then the kids are satiated. They love it and they feel like we just had a party. But again, there's so many different ways to enjoy this sweetness, in a healthier option that's not associated with all these additives that's making you stuck and addicted. And then also with the effects that sugar does on your brain, there's so many other things that don't do that. And therefore, for me, my kids don't eat this stuff on a daily basis. They'll have like a piece of fruit when they, if they ever need, they love like oranges or pomegranates and things like that. But we save the treats for like their birthdays and, times of celebration. But the thing is, there's so many different options. If I can do it in my family, anybody can do it.
I love that. That's so beautiful. 5 boys eating healthy, eating fruit as a snack. I love that. So great. How did they you don't have to cook 2 different meals, one for the healthy people and one for the kids or something like that.
No.
How is it when they're in the modern world that they enjoy the healthy cooking? Is there any trick to that?
Educating them. I'm telling you, if we can educate ourselves, and I know I did not grow up with this. You didn't probably grow up with this. I mean, I grew up eating strudels for breakfast. Like for me, my mom had an entire basement. She loved a coupon shop. And we had every cereal in the basement. Every day we would literally, each one of us would finish an entire box of cereal. Wow. And then we would have strudels, and then we'd take cans of Coke to school every day. So we didn't know any of this stuff. We've had to learn it. And the way that I've learned it and implemented is by educating myself. So we got to use the same techniques with our children.
Yeah.
So have them read the labels, understand what they're putting in their bodies. My kids know, they're like, oh, what does red number 40 do? They're like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, let's look it up. Right? Oh my gosh, mama, that causes hyperactivity in children. And that's also been shown to accelerate, appearance of some tumors. Oh my gosh. And that's coupled with like blue number 1, hyperactivity and neurotoxin and risk of kidney tumors, mama. And then what about red number 3? Animal carcinogen. Oh, what about yellow number 5 and yellow number 6? Oh my gosh, mama, that's if contaminated with, it's like, it can be found contaminated by, carcinogens like, and benzidine, and then we have they could cause hyperactivity in children. Or what about azodicarbamide? So why aren't we? How they're studying such complicated things in school, and to be completely honest, how much do we actually use that we've actually in our everyday lives as adults? What we learned in their elementary school? Really? How much have we actually learned?
Wouldn't it be better if we were learning about health? I love that.
Yes.
I love it.
So we need to give our children the benefit of the doubt, educate them, tell them what calcium propionate is, tell them what, MSG does for their bodies, tell them about all of these different secret names of sugar.
Yeah. And the thing is, thanks to Dr. Google, it's not hard to access this information, and it would be good for them, right?
And make it a project. The kids love it.
Exactly. A great project. Let's research this. Let's look this up. Let's not take, the marketing on the box for granted when it says healthy. Let's trust but verify. Let's go online and verify. So I love that.
Absolutely. And then now you're using electronics and technology as a tool for optimizing their health, right?
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that we do together as a family. And once they've seen it, they can't unsee it.
Right.
And so in their minds, and I've seen them, they'll Zan, my 12-year-old, will come home, and it was so cute. I have it recorded. He's like, Mama, I was holding a Jelly Rancher. He goes, can you take this disgusting thing away from me? I'm going to throw this in the trash. Because it's like a chemical in there, and we call it what it is. These are chemicals.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. Well, this is good stuff. And so in the show, they have their own podcast. Is health, is this the same drum that they're beating on their podcast?
Absolutely. So they're talking to the biggest names in integrative holistic functional medicine, along with actors, actresses, journalists. They've interviewed the White House correspondents for the Wall Street Journal. And,
Wow.
yes, they've interviewed like these big top journalists and actors, the Power Rangers, they interviewed the Yellow Power Rangers. So all of these people that are really fulfilling their dreams and then trying to figure out how they're doing it. And on top of that, we're talking to the experts in integrative holistic functional medicine. And it really brings kids to the forefront of this conversation, where we need to start having these conversations. There's enough adults talking about this. Now we got to get the kids talking about this, because guess what? It's their future.
Yes.
All of us are living our lives now, but we need to, but their brains and their minds and their bodies can still be molded. And to start educating and empowering kids. And when I saw nobody else was doing that, I was like, okay, you guys, what do you think about this idea? And so obviously I've helped them with the guests that are come on the show, but they take full fledged of the interviews.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That is so cool.
It
I
is so
love it.
powerful. And on top of that, it's really cool when I'm not the only person saying this. So when they hear it from all these other people,
Right.
it's like, oh, it's not just mama talking about this stuff.
Right. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. Well, thank you for all the things that you do in the world to help the world be healthier. And I love that it starts at home and you're like absolutely living, breathing health in your home. So that's really beautiful. How can people get a hold of you and learn about the shows, right? I know you have a couple shows. So how can they get a hold of you?
Holistic Mom MD is my main page. Then I have one, a Holistic Urdu MD for the Urdu speaking audience. And then for my children, it's the Holistic Kids Show. They're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and they create videos on all these things that we're talking about also. So I've written books. So I have my 7th book that's coming out.
Oh my gosh, tell us about that.
So that one is, we created an Adam's Healing Adventure Functional Medicine Children's Book Series.
Okay.
The first one was called Adam's Healing Adventure from Sickness to Health, like how he was dealing with, eczema and allergies and what he could do in his own lifestyle to help with those symptoms. And then the second one was the Healing Power of Rainbow Foods. And the third one right now that's coming out in February is the gratitude is a superpower.
Oh my gosh,
The power of positivity and gratitude. So those are the kinds of
things. And these are children's books.
These are children's books. Obviously, I've written ones for the adults too. So my first book that I wrote was The Holistic RX, Your Guide to Healing Chronic Inflammation and Disease. And that's the best of functional integrative holistic medicine for over 80 conditions, covering all ages, supplements, homeopathics, acupressure points, and aromatherapy for all those 80 conditions. And then I wrote The Holistic RX for Kids, Parenting Healthy Brains and Bodies in a Changing World. So, and
Wowza, girl, you're
busy.
You're a busy woman.
Just
so awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're going to put your links in the show notes. Okay. And any last things you want to share with my listeners? I do have one parting question for you, but before that, anything else that you do want to share?
That if I can do it in my crazy household, you guys can do it.
I love that. Such a good message.
And every day there's going to be something that's been thrown at you, and where it's going to get you off of your hamster wheel, or something's going to stop you in your tracks, or you may have one day of bad eating, or for emotional eating, but guess what? You just get back on.
Yeah.
And even your setbacks are your set forwards. There's so much we can learn from our obstacles and the setbacks, that we can be stronger every day.
So beautiful. I love that. My parting question for you is, what is your deepest hunger? This being the Heal Your Hunger show, of course.
Mm-hmm. My deepest hunger is to empower a world full of energy and health, and to empower our children to become those leaders, to actually benefit society, not hurt society.
So beautiful. And you're doing it. So thank you. And thanks for coming on the show. It's really such an honor to have you.
Thank you again for having me.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.